Well, hello again, everybody, and I hope it is an again for a lot of you. Welcome to Wisdom Wednesday again. I am with my beloved, and I mean my very, very dear wife,
Hmm.
Ruth Sharon. I am Jim Sharon. The two of us are co founders of HeartWise Relationship Academy. And we're going to talk about a nice, meaty topic today, begin to talk about it conflict and resolving conflict. And I'll tell you where I think it begins, and I'm going to let Ruth jump in. To me, it begins with intention. Do we have an intention to be partners together in this? Do we, as you often say, be team players to constructively resolve arguments or disagreements, not have to be right or win, the big ego games?
Mm.
You were telling me before about an experience yesterday. Why don't you
Oh,
give?
yeah, I was at a party and I heard this couple talking about, oh, wasn't Aunt Mary's pie delicious? No, I like Uncle Henry's pie better. And they're starting to argue about whose pie was better. And I just happened to say, you know what? We're each individuals and we have our own tastes, and
Cherry's better
it's
than blueberry.
okay.
Anybody knows that.
So, being able to be individuals, have our own individual thoughts, feelings, perceptions, stories about things, and how can we allow the other person to be a separate human being that has their own
Boston
configuration?
cream, lemon meringue.
Yeah, you like pie. I can hear that. We're getting hungry, huh? Yeah, so it's about being able to honor each other and honor our individual differences. So that's part of it. And I forgot to bring our book over here, but on the cover of our book, there are two trees, and each tree is different. And there's a precious space between the trees that is the us space with little tender hearts that have stitching around
Mm,
them because we can protect that heart space, our us space, or we could
coming
damage
up.
it. Yeah, so we've all been hurt. The heart's been hurt, no doubt about it. And so we're talking about heart wise. How can we heal our hearts and have our heart wisdom to notice that, oh, wait a minute, you're a separate person. You're talking about something different than I'm talking about. So I like the simple line, here's my point of view, and here's your point of
As
view.
opposed to rigid positions.
And to honor that, yeah, like you have a position. And that's really good what you just said because we do get rigid. We have those rigid positions and they're based on these triggers that we have. And so if you start messing around with my paradigm about how things are supposed to be, you're wrong. And my fire comes out.
Excuse me, but I want to win this argument.
Right. So, how do we notice our triggers? So, today we'll talk about awareness, just to be more mindful, more aware, more awake. Like, oh, wait a minute, I think I just got my trigger pushed, my button pushed, my sensitive spot rubbed up against. Ouch.
And let me point out that sometimes it's over the most trivial things.
Oh,
I've
I
heard this
know.
so many times from couples that, we're just, it's silly to us, but we really get embroiled. And
Well,
then it goes from there.
I know when the triggers go off, sometimes we lose control. So I always say that if we have hot triggers, it could mean that we don't have enough self care, enough
Mm,
self time, enough self reflection, enough, wait a minute, what's going on with
self esteem
me?
sometimes.
Or self esteem, yeah. So the ability to be able to notice that you're different than I am and that you have an opinion and I might not agree with it, but doesn't mean you're wrong.
So you can validate my opinion, I can
Ooh,
validate yours.
oh, doesn't that feel
And we don't have to
good?
agree.
Yeah, like I hear you. You see it that way. I see it this way. We don't agree. What do we want to do? That's more of a heart wise than a triggered way. So, awareness and then compassion about what we're aware of. Like, I have my tendency, if my trigger's flown off, I get angry. That's a fight. You get yours anger, you hit
Yeah.
the anger button
Mm-hmm.
too.
Yeah.
Some people withdraw and crumble. I used to do that, just pack it all in and hold my breath and go into flight
Or
or
freeze.
freeze or faint or
Those are the biggies. Mm-hmm.
yeah, or the other one is comply. I hear
Mm,
that from
mm,
so many
mm.
people, like, we disagree, I'll just do it your
It's the
way.
path of least resistance.
So if I keep doing it your way, what happens, do you think?
Well, you start to defer to me on a regular basis. I start to dominate and control.
And then I'm resentful and
Yes.
hostile, and I'm going to get back at you somehow, burn
Yeah.
your toast or something,
Be a
right?
little passive aggressive.
Passive aggressive.
Yes.
Yeah, so fighting, how do we have disagreements without it becoming an escalated fight, that the conflict starts tearing us apart and ripping and shredding the treasured trust that we have in each other? The trust starts getting destroyed.
You're starting to talk about compassion leading to forgiveness, right?
Yes, if we could.
Mm-hmm.
We have these triggers. We all have these hurts. We all have these things that we've been protecting. I know I've protected trying to be right, haven't you?
At times, for sure.
Yeah. So the opposite of that is being wrong, and I sure hate when you point out that I'm doing something wrong. And so we've had to learn over the years how to talk about that. So you could say, hey, I really appreciate it if you'd put those numbers clearer in the book so I know how, when I add them up, what they say.
Mm-hmm.
We're still old school paper people.
And not being critical in the process, just,
Why don't you always?
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, always.
Always, never. Yeah.
Those kinds of things.
All right, so here's what we're asking. If you could just notice when you get a trigger going, you're activated. Your nervous system is either in a jolt like that or a collapse or something's happening, something shifts. Ask yourself, what is this conflict? What's on my side? What's on your side? Let me see if I could
And what's
listen.
under the surface as well.
Yes. Say some more about that. What's under the surface?
Well, so often, like I said before, there's trivial arguments that are actually just the
tip of the iceberg.
Tip of the iceberg. That's about what I was going to say. I was searching for that metaphor. Yeah, and if we dig it even a little bit deeper, sometimes it takes a few layers down, start to realize, this isn't really about that. That's just a symptom of what's going on either internally and or with each other.
Interpretations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I heard one the other day where they got into a huge fight, and when they boiled it down, it was that he didn't want her to cook for the family because he didn't want to inconvenience her, but she thought he didn't want her to cook because she wasn't a good cook, and she went off on that.
An assumption.
Yeah, and so we're making up stuff all the time. I always think of these speech bubbles around my head, It's like, oh, I'm making up that story. So, I like to coach my clients to say, this is what my story is about that, or this is what I'm thinking about that. What were you thinking about it? Like, let's check it out. Because we have so many wrong assumptions, presumptions.
It's really true.
Yeah, so being more aware, paying attention.
And one of those assumptions, is you don't really care about me, do you?
Yes, that's a biggie. Yeah, here's
and you don't
evidence.
really respect me either.
That's right. Yeah. That was a slight of me because you don't care about me and I'm not important to you and blah, 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 and we're off. So those are our unhealed wounds inside. And we just activate when the other person brushes up against and we make it about the other person. So this whole thing about HeartWise is to gather back what's mine, give back what's yours, right? So we can be two different
Take
people.
ownership of our own stuff.
Take ownership, yeah. So awareness with compassion. So practice that, and then we'll be on next time, and we'll continue on with this conversation about how to resolve conflicts in a peaceful, equitable, fair way. We'll see you next time. Check out our HeartWiseAcademy.com. We're rebuilding the website. It's looking really good. And we have our HeartWise Circle coming up. That's this
Wednesday night.
Yeah, tonight. Oh, my goodness. And we're going to unpack this more. How do we resolve conflicts? So the HeartWise Circle's free. You just go to the website, HeartWiseAcademy.com, and look for the HeartWise Circle.
Let's tell them what that is.
Yeah, go
This
ahead.
isn't us giving a lecture. We're offering some tips and getting into the discussion here today, as we always do in Wisdom Wednesday. But the HeartWise Circle is really dedicated to what we call a wisdom pool. That's a gathering. It's a collective of everybody's experiences, perceptions. Whoever wants to participate, you can find just to listen.
Yes, it's on Zoom, by the way. It's not in person. So we have people from all over the country, and I think we had
Sometimes
some
the world.
European, Yeah, so join us on the HeartWise Circle. It's once a month, the second Wednesday of the month from 7 to 8 p.m. Mountain Time. So check your time zone and just sign up, and you can be in the background, or you can speak, or you can just take notes and listen, or however you want to do it. So we look forward to meeting you and seeing you, and thanks for tuning in to our Wisdom Wednesday.
Bye for now.
Bye.